Rich woman mocks waitress, but is shocked when she learns who owns the restaurant. When a rich woman, used to being treated with deference, mocks a seemingly unimportant waitress only to find out the waitress is not as insignificant as she seems. This is the story of Eliza Thornberg, a wealthy businesswoman, who learns a lesson in humility and kindness in the most unexpected way. Eliza Thornberg decided to dine at a quaint, yet highly recommended, café. Known for its cozy ambience and exceptional cuisine, the café was a popular spot among locals and tourists alike. Eliza, with her designer clothes and haughty demeanor, stood out from the casual crowd. She was accustomed to a certain standard of service and made no effort to hide her expectations. As she seated herself at the best table on the patio, she was approached by Sarah, a young waitress with a warm smile and a humble appearance. Sarah, aware of Eliza's reputation as a regular patron and a formidable tipper, hoped to make a good impression. However, Eliza's attitude was dismissive from the start. When Sarah accidentally spilled a few drops of water while pouring, Eliza's response was sharply condescending. "Oh dear, can we not find staff who can handle a simple task of pouring water without making a mess?" Eliza remarked loudly enough for nearby patrons to hear. Her words were cutting, and Sarah's cheeks flushed with embarrassment. Apologizing profusely, Sarah quickly cleaned up the mess and took Eliza's order with diminished spirits. As the meal proceeded, Eliza found minor faults in everything, from the presentation of the food to the timing of the service. Each time, she did not hesitate to voice her displeasure, making Sarah increasingly uncomfortable. Despite Sarah's attempts to please her, Eliza seemed bent on showcasing her dissatisfaction. The climax of this encounter came when Eliza, upon receiving her bill, scoffed at the amount and signaled for the manager. When the manager arrived, Eliza began to complain loudly about the service, particularly criticizing Sarah's incompetence. "I expect a certain level of service when I dine here," Eliza stated. "This waitress has been nothing but a disappointment. I would suggest you reconsider her employment if you wish to maintain your standards." The manager listened patiently before responding in a calm, firm tone. "I appreciate your feedback, Ms. Thornberg. However, I must tell you that the waitress you are referring to is my daughter. She is a university student working here part-time, and I am proud of the effort she puts into her job every day." The revelation took Eliza by surprise. Her face, previously colored with irritation, now turned a shade of red, indicating her embarrassment. The manager's unwavering support of Sarah, coupled with the personal connection, made Eliza reassess her behavior. I had no idea," Eliza stammered, her voice softer now. "The people who serve us aren't just staff. They are individuals with their lives and challenges," the manager continued. "Sometimes a little patience and kindness can make all the difference." Eliza nodded, her earlier arrogance replaced by a contemplative silence. She looked at Sarah, who was standing a few feet away, and for the first time saw not a servant to command, but a person, much like herself, deserving of respect and kindness. Leaving a generous tip was the least Eliza could do to apologize, but as she left the café, the incident lingered in her mind. It wasn't just about the money or the embarrassment. It was a poignant reminder of the basic decency everyone owed each other, regardless of their status or role. From that day on, Eliza's visits to the café became more frequent, but more importantly, her attitude had changed. She greeted Sarah with respect and made sure to express her appreciation for the service. It was a small change, but for those who noticed, it made all the difference. Eliza's change of heart was the talk of the café for weeks. The staff, who had once dreaded her visits, now saw a new side of her, one that they respected and appreciated. Sarah, in particular, felt a relief she hadn't expected. The incident had not only eased her workdays, but also instilled a newfound confidence in her. One evening, Eliza arrived at the café during a particularly busy shift. The place was buzzing with activity, and every staff member was moving as quickly as they could to serve the customers. Noticing the stress on Sarah's face, Eliza decided to step in. "Can I help?" she asked, surprising Sarah and herself alike. Sarah, a bit taken aback by the offer, smiled and handed Eliza an apron. "Well, if you're serious, we could use an extra hand at the counter." Eliza didn't hesitate. She put on the apron and started helping with simple tasks, like setting tables and greeting customers. The patrons were surprised to see the well-known businesswoman serving food and clearing tables, but her humble demeanor won them over. As they worked side by side, Sarah shared more about her life, her studies, and her dreams for the future. Eliza listened, genuinely interested. She realized that there was much more to the people around her than their roles in her daily routine. Each had hopes and struggles, and each deserved respect and kindness. The evening ended with applause from the customers for the exceptional service, despite the rush. Eliza had not only helped ease the workload, but had also brought a sense of camaraderie to the team. As she removed her apron, she felt a satisfaction that her usual business deals seldom brought. "Thank you, Sarah, for letting me be a part of your world tonight," she said, her eyes reflecting sincere gratitude. Sarah hugged her, saying, "No, thank you. You've shown us all how a little understanding and effort can change everything. You're always welcome here, not just as a patron, but as a part of our café family." Eliza left the café that night feeling lighter than she had in years. She had learned that her actions, big or small, had the power to affect others profoundly. She promised herself to carry this lesson forward, not just in her visits to the café, but in all her interactions. The experience had changed her, not just in how others saw her, but in how she viewed herself and the world around her. As the weeks turned into months, Eliza's newfound perspective reshaped her interactions beyond the café. The story of her evening as a waitress spread through the community, inspiring others to rethink their own attitudes and actions. Local businesses began to implement community service days, where owners and high-level executives would work alongside their employees in day-to-day operations. The initiative not only boosted morale, but also fostered a sense of unity and respect across different social strata. Eliza herself took it a step further by starting a program that aimed to support local students working their way through college. Inspired by Sarah's dedication and the hard work of many like her, Eliza set up scholarships and work-study opportunities to help ease their financial burdens. Everyone deserves a chance to succeed, without their background holding them back. Eliza announced at the launch, her voice echoing with genuine enthusiasm. The impact of her words and actions reverberated throughout the community. People started looking out for each other more, bridging gaps that had long existed unnoticed. The café became a hub for community meetings, where people would come together to discuss various initiatives and support each other's endeavors. Sarah, who had graduated by then, became the manager of the café, and her first act was to create a community board where people could post needs and offers for help. One day, a young man approached Eliza at the café, his eyes wide with nervous excitement. "Ms. Thornberg, I don't know if you remember me, but you once helped me at a time when I felt all was lost. Your scholarship allowed me to finish my degree. I just wanted to say, thank you. You changed my life." Eliza, moved by his words, realized the full extent of her actions. "I'm so glad to hear you've done well. Remember, pass it on. Help someone else in need," she replied, her heart swelling with pride and joy. It was moments like these that reinforced the value of kindness and support within the community. The changes that began with a simple act of understanding had grown into a movement of compassion and support that transformed the town. Eliza no longer saw herself just as a businesswoman, but as a community leader who had the power to effect positive change. The rich woman who once mocked a waitress for a minor mistake had now become a beloved figure, known for her humility and generosity. Her journey from arrogance to empathy was a testament to the power of second chances and the enduring impact of simple human kindness. Eliza's transformation and the resulting community impact inspired her to take her efforts even further. Seeing the profound effect of mutual respect and support, she decided to write a book about her experiences and the stories of those she'd helped. Her goal was not only to share her journey, but also to inspire others to make similar changes in their own lives and communities. If my story can turn one more person towards kindness, then every word I write will be worth it, she often said during her interviews. The book launch was held at the very café where her transformation began. It was a fitting venue, bustling with familiar faces and new visitors who had heard of her story. Sarah was there, of course, managing the event with the same dedication she had always shown. The local press covered the event, broadcasting Eliza's message far beyond the town. It's about realizing that everyone has a story, and every interaction is a chance to make a positive impact, Eliza explained as cameras flashed around her. Her book became a bestseller, widely read and discussed in book clubs, schools, and community centers across the country. Readers were touched by the honesty and simplicity of her narrative, finding in her words a call to action that was hard to ignore. Inspired by Eliza's example, many reached out to her, sharing their own stories of change and community involvement, which Eliza featured on her now popular blog. Amidst the whirlwind of her newfound role as an author and speaker, Eliza maintained her regular visits to the café. These visits kept her grounded, reminding her of the real, everyday actions that continued to foster community spirit. This café is where it all started, and these people are my constant reminder of why I do what I do, she would say, smiling at the familiar faces around her. One rainy afternoon, as she sipped her coffee, a young woman approached her table hesitantly. "Ms. Thornberg, I've read your book. It made me realize how I've been treating my own staff. I've decided to make some changes, to be more involved and supportive. Thank you for opening my eyes." Eliza listened, her heart full. Each story like this reaffirmed her commitment to spreading kindness and understanding. "That's wonderful to hear," she replied warmly. "It's amazing what we can accomplish when we treat each other with respect and empathy. Keep going, and spread the word." As Eliza watched the young woman walk away, more determined and hopeful, she felt an overwhelming sense of fulfillment. Her journey had taught her many lessons, but the most important was that change begins with a single act of kindness, however small it may seem. And as more people embraced this philosophy, the ripples of their actions could transform entire communities, just as hers had. This realization wasn't just satisfying, it was a powerful testament to the human capacity for growth and compassion. Months passed, and the impact of Eliza's book continued to grow. She was invited to speak at various events and conferences, each opportunity broadening her reach and inspiring more individuals and communities. The message she spread was simple yet powerful. Respect, empathy, and small acts of kindness could lead to significant societal change. During one particularly memorable conference, Eliza met a group of educators who were interested in incorporating her teachings into their curriculum. "Your book has the potential to not just inspire, but also educate the next generation on the importance of community and kindness," one educator explained. Eliza was moved by their enthusiasm and immediately agreed to collaborate on developing educational materials that could be used in schools nationwide. As the project took shape, Eliza worked closely with teachers and educational consultants to ensure the materials were engaging and age-appropriate. They created lesson plans, activities, and discussion guides that encouraged students to think about their roles within their communities and how they could make a difference. Imagine a generation that grows up knowing they have the power to positively impact those around them, Eliza mused during a planning session, her eyes bright with excitement. The program was launched in several schools as a pilot project and received overwhelmingly positive feedback from students, teachers, and parents. Children were especially receptive to the stories of real-life kindness and began initiating their community projects. From organizing local cleanups to setting up buddy systems for new students, these young minds were putting their lessons into action, much to the delight of their teachers and parents. Inspired by the success of the educational program, Eliza decided to organize a community event to celebrate these young changemakers. The event was held in a local park, with activities, workshops, and a space for kids to showcase their projects. Local businesses donated supplies and refreshments, and the whole town came together to support their youngest members. Look at what these kids are doing. They're not just learning about kindness, they're living it, Eliza proudly told a local news reporter covering the event. As the day drew to a close, Eliza stood on a small stage set up in the middle of the park, ready to address the crowd. She looked out at the faces in front of her. Families, teachers, business owners, and most importantly, the children who had embraced her message and made it their own. Her heart was full as she began to speak, her voice clear and steady. Today, we celebrate not just what we've achieved, but what we can achieve together. Each one of you has shown that when we come together to support and uplift each other, there's no limit to what we can accomplish. The applause that followed was heartfelt and loud, echoing through the park and perhaps, in a small way, across the broader community. Eliza knew that her journey, which started with a simple act of understanding in a café, had sparked something much bigger. She felt a profound gratitude for the journey and a hopeful anticipation for the future, knowing that the seeds of kindness she had helped plant were already beginning to blossom.